Good morning. Hello. Happy Tuesday. Hello, hello, hello. All right. Hello. Okay, shall we start? Um, so we are the LMS on the back end is currently under maintenance. So that's why I sent out the normal link to join the session. Um, so yeah, but we are only a few people. It's the first time that I've seen this, like, yeah, the lowest amount of people or traders on my session for the London pre-market analysis. But yeah, obviously people are also at work and stuff like that. But nonetheless, um, okay, bit of bad news. Well, not bad news. It's news, but it's not exceptionally good news. I wanted to see GBP JPY to at least be close to take profit too. We are close to take profit too. But yeah, I wanted to perhaps be out of this trade before the London session started for today. But unfortunately, we actually, yeah, didn't get that sufficient move this morning to the downside to just follow through and um, just go reach the low of the previous week. Okay, we are still sitting at the new week opening gap. Okay, price did go into it, then we bounced back out, then we went back into it, then we bounced out, and then we went back in again. So yeah, just want to see us just eat up this whole gap and just move to the downside to look for a nice little continuation. So I'm still bearish, and it's not because I'm biased. It's just because that's how the market looks like. That clearly see that we are bearish since the previous week, well, since last week. And now I just want to see that continuation. Right. So yeah, that's it for GBP, JPY. When I jump to the other JPY, also again found some resistance early morning, 2 o'clock, quarter past two. Um, we again bounced off of this new week opening gap. I still want to see that downwards move to go below of the low of the current week. And again, if you just look at the overall trend, we are really quite bearish, but we need to create a new low in order for us to continue with this trend. Because if we struggle or fail to create a new low, then we might see a reversal and the market might push back upwards. So, hopefully we will see that push to the downside as soon as possible. And I really also hope that we would see some more volume in the markets than we saw yesterday. You can see it's been quite flat since yesterday. The bad news is that if you look at the Japanese session or the Asian trading session yesterday morning at 2:45, you'll see that this was the highest amount of volume traded for that time period. And then today, we barely had any volume. There was quite more volume trading in the Asian session yesterday morning than there was this morning. Um, so yeah, it's not the greatest of news because usually when we see that, we tend to have a bit of a range, and I don't want to see some type sort of range. I just want to see a continuation through this new week opening gap. Uh, why is this not where it should be? There we go. Yeah, so I want to see the market push through this new week opening gap and just eat up this, yeah, and not just react off of it. So we don't have sufficient reactions. We reacted off of it quite nice, quite decently, but then we failed to push perhaps for a new high. Again, we came back to it, but we failed to push to just at least close above this high, but we didn't get that at all. So I'm not really too optimistic about the new week opening gap, and that's also why I just want to see that continuation to the downside. Okay, just mitigate this whole gap right here. Okay. And yeah, exactly the same for GBP, JPY. We didn't create a new high or whatever when we bounced off of this new week opening gap, so it's not really something too spectacular for me. And when you jump to EUR USD, okay, market this morning did see a bit of a push to the downside. Again, if you look at yesterday's trading volume, there was little to like really extremely low volume that has been traded yesterday and also early morning today. So also just I want to see the market to start to range in between these two low volume areas. If we do tend to range in between these two volume areas, I'll definitely look for a sell over here. if we come back to the upper side of the range, and if we also get a nice reaction from the 200 exponential moving average. It won't be a massive trade. I will be a bit tight with my stop loss to at least just get still a 1 to 2 risk reward ratio if we target this low of the current week as our third take profit. So I'll definitely look at something like this, a really short, powerful trade that might be on the cards for us today. But we first need to see some reactions at this low volume area for the previous week, as well as the 200 exponential moving average. Okay. Then when we look at GBP USD, okay, we looked at two scenarios yesterday. This one obviously played out quite nice, quite decent. We were in a GBP JPY trade, so I didn't even bother looking at GBP USD. But the trade played out really nice. We just didn't reach our max target area that we did want to see it. Yeah, that we didn't want to see it reach. But yeah, we are really close. This was actually a really nice, decent move to the downside. We created a new low. We closed below this low again. So now I'm expecting a bit of a bounce off on this low volume area from the previous week. I'm expecting a bit of a bounce, but if we can get this follow through to the downside and then look for that reaction, use that support level as resistance, then it's something that I'll be even more interested in to target the low of the previous week. Okay, so yeah, I'm feeling this could be really nice. And then jumping to USD JPY, okay, also didn't get that sufficient move to the upper side. We did get this reaction from this low volume area to the downside. We didn't reach the new week opening gap. Why is my text not? We didn't reach the new week opening gap. So yeah, I'll still look at this as a matter of support when price comes back towards this price level. And I look at this point as a resistance level. If we push back, if we have a push again back towards this low volume area, then I'll actually also be interested in a trade on USD JPY, a nice little sell. But as you can see, just look at this. It's been flat all along. Nothing really spectacular standing out for me. But really volume is just standing still. So I can only imagine there's a bit of accumulation building up, which means there's a lot of bigger institutions having a bit of a bidding war. They're buying and they're selling constantly. But I think it's time now that they perhaps just get the market moving. Unfortunately, we don't have the capacity to get the market to move in our direction. Otherwise, it would have been awesome. But yeah, it would have been amazing if it would be amazing if we can get something like this as well. I'll also use a bit of a tight stop loss on this one. And then my second take profit will probably be the new week opening gap, and my third take profit will be the low of the previous week. So also a decent trade that's looking like it could play out really good. Okay. So yeah, and then if we jump to gold's in a bit of an upward push again. We also discussed this move yesterday. We had some decent volume on gold yesterday. We actually also had a new day opening gap. So this is not a new week opening gap because the difference between a new week opening gap is the difference between a new week opening gap and a new day opening gap. So a new week opening gap is the difference between the closing price on a Friday and the opening price on a Monday. And the new day opening gap is the difference between the closing price on a Monday and the opening price on a Tuesday. So this is a really good example of what a new day opening gap is or looks like. New day opening gap. Okay, we use it as support quite a few times. So I would still be bullish. We actually got a decent move to the upper side this morning. I said with CPI, I would like to see 2950, and we literally almost went there this morning. So I'm really impressed with what happened this morning on gold. I'm super impressed. So I don't believe we will get that move to the downside towards the high volume area. But if there's something left of it, and we can still see that move to the downside towards the fair value area for the previous week, this would also be a really nice, decent buy. And then obviously now I'm still expecting this downwards move. It's just a matter of time. We also might actually react off of this low. Okay, you can see we use this psychological level, the $2,900 level. We use it as support multiple times. So we might perhaps push through this new day opening gap, use this price level, the psychological price level as support. But we are also currently sitting at a psychological price level at 2910. And we also reacted off of it, and we also use it as support of resistance and support actually. If you look at what I'm seeing, look at this. This is also really beautiful. Near the opening gap plus the psychological level. Now, if we weren't so much or so high in the speculation on gold, this is definitely something that I'll look at for a buy. And I'll take this market to the high of today. Perhaps put my stop loss below the low that we use as support, okay, the psychological level of 2900, and then look for the high of today for my second take profit, and then perhaps look at 2952, 2953 as my third take profit. But this is quite decent, you know. But yeah, we also might see a push to the downside towards the psychological level, the 2900 level, and then we might see that push to the upper side. We can get a nice reaction here. This is actually a decent area to look for buy for me. All right. Okay. So that's going to be it. We had a pretty boring Asian session on the currency pairs, but on gold, it's looking quite rock solid. Want to see if we can get a decent reaction off of this new that opening gap, and then also bounce off of this range that we formed in between these two psychological levels or the round numbers. Things are looking quite promising on gold for this upwards move. Okay, then I have three possible entries that I'm looking at. The first one is from the new day opening gap bounce. The second one is if we push through that new day opening gap and bounce from the 2900 psychological level. And then the third one is bouncing off of the previous week's fair value area. And then obviously the thing that I'm still looking for is this move to the downside. Okay, the thing is, it's just so many people are getting FOMO. People are placing their money in gold because of it's a safe haven. So yeah, and this reaction is just golden. If we can get a nice close, a decent close above this red 15-minute candle, this 9:30, 15-minute candle, if we can see the market close above this price level, then oh yes, baby, that would be fantastic. All right, but there you go. Thank you so much for participating in the London pre-market analysis session. As always, it is much appreciated. And there we go on gold. There we go on gold. It looks quite good. Yeah, as always, it is much appreciated. And I appreciate your efforts and your time for actually making time available to join this session. You must enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. And then I will see you later for our New York pre-market analysis session. All right. Cheers, everyone. Take care and be blessed.